Very quiet. E, can you hear us? Counselor J Fatigue, yeah, and we got a thumbs up. Okay. Okay, so we're recording. So we are recording now. Okay, it's 6 p.m. I'd like to announce the council meeting of Nairn and Hyman open for business on February 10th, 2025. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Nope. And we have a delegation, Louisa Nadeau, Manager of Economic Development and Transit, to discuss the municipal accommodation tax. Welcome, Louisa. And I think this is your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me to present to you tonight. I do have a very brief presentation here. I believe you did also receive a staff report from me, just providing a very high-level overview of the municipal accommodation tax program as it appears in the Ontario Municipal Act. So I'm here as the regional EDO on the invitation of the La Cloche Foothills Municipal Association to provide this overview of the MAP program, its related legislation, and potential local impact. The information provided tonight with this presentation is for the purpose of informing council of the option to impose the MAP. It is not asking for a decision to be made tonight towards implementation. Just for a little bit of a clarification there. This brief presentation, again, we've received some additional detail in the staff report. This won't be everything verbatim. The presentation has been prepared with the assistance of Destination Northern Ontario. DNO is one of 13 regional tourism organizations. They work with communities, tourism operators, and tourism stakeholders in the development and marketing of tourism and economic development initiatives in the RTO 13 region, which is the very large dark gray portion there. It is the largest one in Ontario. We are in 13A there, but we all make up Destination Northern Ontario. So DNO approached the La Cloche Foothills Municipal Association, identifying our region as a perfect fit for the MAP program. And they did come and do a very similar overview presentation for the mayors and CIOs at the La Cloche Foothills table back in December. So this is now coming to you from me. So a little bit of a history on this program. Prior to 2017, some tourism accommodation providers and properties in different urban municipalities came together and voluntarily charged a 3% destination marketing fee on their accommodation rates. So the funding was then forwarded to destination marketing organizations like Destination Northern Ontario. And 100% of the funds was used for tourism marketing initiatives and economic development. The municipalities had no legal say in that program at all. But as a result of somewhat success in that program, there was great interest from different municipalities across the province in having a sort of more comprehensive program that was available to everyone and that sort of took some legal parameters into consideration as well. So in December 2017, the province did pass a municipal accommodation tax under the Municipal Act. And so this legislation empowers municipalities to direct accommodation properties to charge a municipal accommodation tax on short-term accommodations, which is stays of 30 consecutive days or less, and remit those proceeds to the municipality, which is then appropriately divided between the municipality and a designated tourism entity. The MAP revenue can be divided 50-50, or a larger portion can be forwarded to the tourism entity. Within all of that, the municipality cannot keep more than 50%. You can do 60-40 in favor of the tourism entity. You cannot do 60-40 in favor of the municipality, per the legislation. But the municipality can use their funds for any purposes they see fit, while the tourism entity must use their funds for tourism within the region. So there are currently 56 municipalities in Ontario that have municipal accommodation tax programs implemented. I know of several more that are currently in the discussion phase as well, or will be evaluating in the very near future. So within RTO 13, some examples being Sudbury and Marathon are both at 6%. Thunder Bay is at 5%. Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, North Bay, Blind River, and Wawa are all at 4%. Notably in Ontario, you also have Barrie and Toronto at 6%, you have Ottawa at 5%, and then some of the more Muskoka region, the Huntsville and Gravenhurst at 4%, at Belleville and Guelph as well. So 4% is the standard to implement a MAT. You do see a few examples of it being lower than 4, but very few. And then we are starting to see some larger municipalities go higher than 4 now. I think Sudbury just raised theirs, I think just last fall to 6%. So it is kind of all around us. Next slide. So tourists are already accustomed to paying an accommodation tax in Canada and around the world. In our region, if residents travel to a major hospital in Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Toronto, or Ottawa, and they have to stay in a hotel, they are paying the MAT to that municipality. It's the same if it's for leisure, it's the same if it's for sport. You're paying that no matter where you're going. So money that our residents are spending in other communities is contributing to the upkeep of those communities. So the big question here is, why can't it be here as well? Implementing a MAT helps to reduce the burden on the local ratepayers, which can be used to improve infrastructure and ensure that we have good municipal services for when people do come to visit our region. One more. So to give a rough estimate of how much we are talking about based on average room inventory, average daily rates, and occupancy rates. Again, a very brief overview here. We're looking at the whole region being $85,000 to $100,000 a year in MAT revenue. That would be the entire 4%. That's not just the municipal 50-50 or portion. That is what would be collected as a whole as the 4%. And again, that would be collected as a region based on the availability in the La Cloche foothills. So for the next one, I just have a couple of quick FAQs to go through here. And then I will open it to any questions that there may be from council. The first one being, are Ontario's municipalities the only one to charge a municipal accommodation tax? So the answer there is no. Room taxes are charged throughout Canada, throughout the US, throughout major cities in the world. Just recently, I think in the last 2 weeks, Edinburgh, Scotland made some headlines by implementing one, and they actually got some very positive reviews on that. So it's definitely not, it's not a scarcity anymore. It's not just a few that are charging it. But Ontario is on the low end of the scale, being at 4%, when there are some American cities that charge upwards of 16% as a municipal accommodation tax, which is a little bit on the high end there. They also sometimes impose other fees along with an accommodation tax. Sometimes you'll see arena fees on your hotel bill, which is always interesting. But so it's definitely not an Ontario thing. The next one being, can a tourism entity negotiate with their municipality to receive more than the minimum share of revenue? So yes, like I said, it can be 60-40, it can be 75-25, but the municipal portion cannot be over 50%. But it can be spent, however the municipality sees fit. So that's one bonus of this program, is that it doesn't have to be earmarked to infrastructure, it doesn't have to be earmarked to recreation or anything like that. The municipal funds are the municipal funds. So next one is, who pays the municipal accommodation tax? This is always one that I want to make sure that gets understood, is that this is not a tax on the business and it is not a tax on the local ratepayers. It is a tax that the visitor pays and the business just collects it. So the visitor pays the business collects it, the business gives that, remits all that money to the municipality, and then the municipality forwards, as much as they aren't keeping to, the tourism entity, which of course starts at 50% and goes, upwards. So comparatively to the way that this started, the destination marketing fee was, of course, a voluntary, fee. But the MAT is a mandatory program, so if the municipality chose to impose a municipal accommodation tax in Nairn and Hyman, then it would be mandatory for any of the businesses that fell under that umbrella. Yeah, next one. Oh, I think maybe two. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so is the MAT applicable to guests that do not fill up their reservation? The answer there is, it kind of depends. In a lot of situations, in a hotel motel situation, if a guest didn't show up for their reservation, sometimes they are charged the full amount for the first night of their stay, and then the rest is kind of forgotten about. In that case, yes, no show if you are collecting the entire fee for the room rate, then there is a municipal accommodation tax applied to that. If the guest is charged something else, like a cancellation fee or a rebooking fee, then there's no MAT applied to that. Next one. Are hotel amenity fees and service charges applicable under the MAT? The answer there is no, with a tiny caveat of if a room rate included something like a free continental breakfast, or in some cases, how certain bed and breakfasts are set up. Then you do sometimes see food included in the MAT rate. But if it was a meal that was charged at the hotel restaurant, you would need to see that separately. And that's a big one with, the MAT does appear on all bills and invoices, and it needs to be its own certain line, which applies also to then any of those other incidental fees as well. So you can make sure it's not being charged on those incidental fees. And the last one is, will a municipal accommodation tax apply to short-term rentals such as Airbnb? The answer there is it can. It's kind of up to the municipality at that point. The base municipal accommodation tax program starts at hotel, motel, bed and breakfast sort of style. And then there are additional things that can be added into that at the municipality's discretion, which does include Airbnb, Verbos, and some of those other style of short-term rentals. The biggest thing is that it is 30 days or less. So it goes all the way up to 29 days. On the 30th day, then the MAT no longer applies. I do have one as well that if a stay is scheduled to be 29 days and the visitor opted to stay longer, then the MAT still does not apply. It is longer than 30 days. It is at the point of checkout. It doesn't matter how long it's been planned. It is at the point of checkout. So there are some parameters within this program that are kind of up to the municipality and some that are set in stone. So it's an interesting program. But again, the purpose of this report, of this presentation, is to provide the overview to council, to inform you of the option of implementing this. The only direction that I am looking for from council at this point is the general interest of the municipality in a program like this. Then if it were in the affirmative, I would come back with additional information like the amount that Nairn and Hyman might expect to receive annually, like a good average. I would come back with the interest of the other municipalities in the region to let you know how it might be looking around your municipality as well. What I've heard from the one that I've spoken to so far is, of course, the point of, if there are municipalities just outside of you, would they go there, and because they don't have one and you do have one? Again, we don't really see that, and this area is starting to build up the municipal accommodation tax. I believe the only ones in this area that do not currently have one outside of the La Cloche foothills is, of course, Elliott Lake. and Little Current. So you would have to go a little further outside of the Lacrosse region, because Blind River and Sudbury do have them. It's definitely gaining in popularity across the province. And I put that to you now just to let me know how you feel about this program, and if you have any questions that I can answer.
Any questions? Counselor
Yes,
Austin?
I have one.
We'll get you next.
What's it gonna cost the operator of the business to handle all this extra tax?
For the most part, from research that Destination Northern Ontario has done, it is very, very minimal. In the most part, it is just in regular bookkeeping that the business would be performing already. And it is very simple on their side of the municipality. It is just, it's basically just a form that the operator fills out. The municipality kind of gets to decide on the timeline for that, whether it's gonna be monthly, quarterly, annually, biannually. Which of course also is determined a little bit by internal capacity. If we wouldn't have the internal capacity to process it monthly, why would we ask for it monthly? That's sort of how the approach is done. But it is really just in regular bookkeeping activities that these businesses would already be practicing. To just sort of keep track of the amount of the 4% that they are charging. It's really a calculation at the end of their occupancy rates and then 4%.
Okay.
Counselor Day-Petit?
Yeah, I have a question, and I guess a comment. So I don't think that we have many Airbnbs or motels, hotels in Nairn, Hyman, but we do have some campgrounds. And my question is, would they be able to charge this tax on less than 30-day stay?
30 days. That is really the big thing with the municipal accommodation tax. So if it were something like a trailer park that was renting seasonally, that would not have a municipal accommodation tax. If it were a campground that rents by the week, or let's say a cottage rental or something that rents by the week, those would be eligible for a municipal accommodation tax. Again, the number for smaller municipalities with fewer businesses may not be large, but it's still, when you have the potential of a couple extra $1,000 here and there for a year, and it's not, with how many municipalities have already signed on to a program like this, there is lots that can be done through our regional tourism operator, through Destination Northern Ontario, to assist the municipality in setting up the program. There is not a lot on the administrative side to manage the program and to implement the program. So it can be worthwhile, even for small sums, because that sum can then also be applied as the municipal contribution to grant funding and other programs, or just to help supplement operating budgets or capital projects. So it's really a case by case basis, but definitely for campgrounds, there are a little bit of discussions that need to be had about the actual style of business that it would be. But in theory, yes, a campground would apply to the map.
All right, thank you very much.
I had the same question after we did this a couple months ago when you were here, and I reached out to the 2 campgrounds that I could think of that were the only operations that would really benefit us to do this. The one doesn't have it only has seasonal sites, doesn't have visitors, so then we're down to the other ones. And he stated that less than 2% of his business is transients. So I don't know what real benefit there would be for us. Like, I don't see a benefit going after him for 2% of his business. Is my only, after having discussion with the business owners. In ours, I get Espanola, I get Sudbury, I get Blind River, I do lots of snow machine in Cochrane, we pay it there. You know what I mean? I get that because they've got something, we don't have that. And the one that we did, I reached out to him, and that's more or less what he said. You know, was like 2% of his business is transient. And some of that is cash, so nobody even knows it exists. So, you know, and like, no, you're not gonna get taxed on that, and what are you gonna, it's just for us, I don't see it as being beneficial. Personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, thank you for talking to the business owners as well, doing some research as well. That is sort of where this came from, was from the regional level, so there was there would be more research done on each municipal's level. Again, it's kind of dependent on what operates in each municipality, and that's the kind of direction that I was coming here for tonight, is whether or not you felt that staff time should be invested in this sort of research project. So that's the answer that I'm looking to this council for tonight, is whether or not it was something that you would want investigated for this municipality. If the answer is no, then that's absolutely that's fine, and that'll go back to the low cost foothills table for the other municipalities to consider as well. That if it weren't going to be done here, would they still be pursuing it? And that's the answer they're looking for as well.
I have some questions. Maybe we could clarify the grant funding. I think there were more statistics in the information we received. Wasn't it that for some of the grants, we needed to front 50% of the funding? And this would be a way of getting some capital that maybe you hadn't necessarily planned on and then jumping in, am I right? Do you want to explain that a little bit?
It's definitely a model that we see some municipalities taking, in that a lot of provincial and federal and even some private grants do require the applicant to put up some of the project funds. Anywhere from 10 to 60% is what I've seen. So the idea is that sometimes in implementing something like this, when it doesn't charge the local resident, when it doesn't charge the local business, it is sort of extra funds that can then be used at the municipality's discretion, which can include being the matching portion, the leveraging portion to some other grant projects. So something like an inclusive communities grant or a seniors community grant, sometimes they have as low as 10% matching. So that would be, you know, if you're only collecting a little bit, then those ones that have the 10% matching or something in that realm, it could be the entire municipal contribution to that project. In other ones where it's closer to a 50 or 60% match, which isn't really a match, but when you're dealing with those larger ones, then sometimes it's just a way to not have to leverage your local ratepayers for some of those projects. It's just a little extra, or it's not even that model at all, and it's just funds that you use for discretionary spending within the municipality. I've seen some that fund their municipal beautification projects off of it. So it's all the hanging baskets, it's the planters and things around town. Or ones that funnel it all into recreation or all into other tourism. So it's a nice program where you can decide where the funds are going and where you spend them. But that also depends on what you can actually bring in through that program.
I wanted to make council aware, we only have a few Airbnbs in town, and currently in our procedural bylaw, in our zoning bylaw, we do not allow people to have Airbnbs if they are not on the property. So if we are interested in this and we change that bylaw, it could allow people, let's say with camps, that they could rent them for a week at a time. So at this point, it's illegal in Nairn Hyman to rent out a property if you are not on site. So that's so we could kind of tweak it to make it more available to people for Airbnb or VRBO.
I just have
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
question through you, Madam Chair. Like we've talked about, our municipality doesn't have a lot of accommodation properties. if council decided not to go with this type of tax, does it hurt the other municipalities in the Lacrosse region if we decide not to?
I wouldn't say necessarily hurt any of them, the same way that if they decided not to and you did, I don't know if necessarily it would hurt your municipality either. With the prevalence of the municipal accommodation tax in Ontario now, I don't think travelers are really looking at, you know, $4 or $8 on their hotel bill and saying, it's not worth it, I'll stay 20 minutes away. If it's $100 a night, it's $4 extra that you're paying. If it's $200 a night, it's $8 extra that you're paying at 4%, at standard 4%. So I don't really think it's too big of a deal. Maybe if you're getting into 29-day stays, the $4 and $8 starts to add up. But even then, a lot of times those hotels and those stays are for convenience or for geographical reasons. You're not necessarily gonna go 20 minutes down the road and stay somewhere that you don't want to, just for the purpose of saving that fee, that tax. I wouldn't say that it would hurt the other ones necessarily. It's just sort of that, the Lacrosse Foothills Association, wanted to consult, all four municipalities within the region, on the accommodation tax program.
Okay, thank you.
So is this a question we're putting to council then to ask how they feel about it? Or, you know, it sounds like we need a little bit of a decision.
Yeah, some feedback, I'm sure would be good.
I would say just a direction. If you would like more information, then that's a direction that I can come back at another time with additional information, with additional questions to answer. Or if it's not of interest, then that's the direction that I received tonight.
So are we interested at this point?
I wouldn't think so.
You're not saying so, Counselor Austin?
I don't believe so.
Counselor McVeigh, Counselor Despatie?
So I'm not in opposition to the tax. However, I do think we have limited opportunities to collect it. No hotel, no motel, etc. So, but I'm not opposed to it.
I agree with Counselor Despatie, but I think basically the majority of council is saying they're not really that interested. It's true, I think we just have limited facilities that we could tax. But
Perfect, that's the direction that I needed then. All I will leave with is that you now know the program is there, you know the parameters of it, so if it ever is a situation where you wanted to come back to this table, you know where to find me. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of feedback from other municipalities in the region at that time that may be beneficial to you as well, so.
all right, thanks so much. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna do the agenda.
Oh, so we're going to the public meeting? Okay, moved by Counselor Austin, seconded by Counselor McDonald. Be it resolved that the council meeting be temporarily adjourned at 6:28 PM for the purpose of a public meeting. All in favor? Carried. And moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that pursuant to bylaw 2007-9, the public meeting is now officially open for the purpose of hearing comments regarding the 2025 Nairn Waterworks budget and the proposed changes to fees. All in favor? Carried. So that's our public meeting open for comments on the water budget. Is there anyone that would like to make comments on the water budget here tonight? It's public. Hello, would you like to stand up and come forward?
I will. So.
Like, cause this is like a.
So this is the water filters. Yeah, I change them every year. So this is 1 year. They're pretty gross and slimy. And I put them in, they're white. So,
You want us all to come and look?
what? Yeah, so this is the sediment filter. It takes out rust, fine particles that are in, like, any other little goop that's in there, if you were interested last year.
Well, yeah, and where are these from?
My water line. My main water line comes in the house. These
And
two
you run
filters
it
are,
through filters?
these two filters are on my wall. And I change them every year. And that's what this is. That's what we're drinking. So I have a hard time justifying a rate increase after rate increase when this comes out of my water. I don't know where I can find money to maybe not increase it. But I do find the integrity commissioner is kind of a waste. I don't know. Like you reported Wayne. He's done more for this community than I can really think of anybody with fire hall, Roddy too.
We have to have an integrity commissioner. We're legally bound to have one. But we're not here to discuss the integrity commissioner. We're
I
here
know,
to
but I'm just saying,
discuss
if we didn't
the
have that,
water budget.
there would
Yeah,
be
you have to have that.
extra funds. We do have to have it, eh?
Like,
That was one of my questions.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
yeah, we're legally bound to have an integrity commissioner. He's actually here tonight.
So we pay to have that
Yes,
as taxpayers.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's part of my,
we're obligated to.
that's part of what I.
Every municipality pays for that.
I'm gonna speak to the integrity commissioner later, or to that role later in the meeting, but. So this is about water budget, and that you feel that the water is, not up to the best quality.
Well, according to provincial regulations, I guess it's up to quality. But when I see it coming out of my filters like this every year, it makes me wonder quality that it is. That's, the pipes going through the town are all plastic. Copper lines go from that to our houses. Where's the rust coming from? The only place would be the equipment at the plant. So, I don't know, there's some questions for sure. I don't know how many people use these. A lot of people probably drink bottled water. Or get Culligan. I drink filtered water. I also have a reverse osmosis filtered water under my sink, which takes out pretty much everything. You probably pump swamp water into it and drink it.
Well, our water is tested,
I know,
you know,
but they say it's good, but this is what's coming out.
so the other issue is, so CEO Ketchabot, we flush the lines annually, right? We go to the end of the lines and we flush them. But also we go through, we scrub the pipes, basically, what's the word for that?
Swabbing.
Swab the pipes. So that's us, and we do that once every 5 years, and it's
At
not,
least.
at least.
At least.
So the other issue may be if we're swabbing and flushing the main lines, you know, how are the lines from the town to your house getting swabbed, right? I mean, that's,
Well, the lines from the town water to the houses wouldn't be getting swapped, because they're only 3/4 inch pipe. They're generally copper. So, I don't know where the rest would come.
So if we're testing our water before we send it through the line.
There's always iron in them. I mean, it comes out of the river, there's rocks in the river that they get iron in there. But the plant should take a majority of that out. You're still gonna test for minute amounts of iron. Well, lots of other. chemicals.
Yeah, I mean, we've paid a lot of attention to it with the uranium issue coming up. Coming to our attention. I don't know, I have a filter too. I actually don't use it. I drink straight tap water all the time. I think our water tastes great. I mean, does anyone else have any other comments?
I don't drink the town water either, I drink bottled water, but maybe that's just a bad day. I don't know.
I tell people they have to change them every 6 months, and I don't,
Six,
yeah, they'll just like that, but they don't, like, they're not that dirty, but I have to do it every 6 months. So.
So maybe
I don't know
there's
what your, I don't know what your,
maybe there's any issue from that side of town.
I don't know, but I know mine don't look like that, I go about 6 months.
No way.
Yeah.
But didn't you
No.
say, Mr. McRae, are you doing it once a year?
I do my once a year.
Yeah, so that should be,
Yeah, if I pull them up 6 months, they're gonna be less rusty.
Yeah. I don't hear about it, once it does it or whatever. They change them all. But I know it don't look like that, because they're. I don't know what your system is, if it's yearly or maybe you've got a better system, I don't know.
It's a 5 micron sediment filter and a 5 micron carbon block filter.
I think that's the same as mine.
Same thing. So somewhere, coming to my place, I'm getting ready water. So anyway, I just disagree with the rate increase.
Well,
Counselor Dave Petit, do you have any comments for Mr. McGregor?
No, not really. I'm on well water, so I don't know about his issues. I think if our water is tested and it passes all the specifications, I don't know what to tell him.
Looking at the filters, the term we're using, I believe is wrong. Mr. McGregor is saying rust. I believe we have some minerals in the water that these filters are picking up, but it's definitely not rust. And if we go to the plant itself, that's, that tank is 10 or 12 feet deep. And you can see a line in the bottom. Crystal clear, like I've been there a few times. I don't know where this. You're gonna get some accumulation in the piping no matter what. Whatever is in the water is gonna stick to the sides. We have, I believe this year we are budgeted to swap the whole system again. We do that every few years.
Every 5, at least.
So it's gonna be a buildup in there over the years. And hopefully by swabbing them, we can clear up a lot of this stuff that is picking up.
Any other comments about the water budget and the proposed 5% increase?
What's the reason for the increase?
Well, that is a great question. Our water treatment plant is approximately 29 years old, and we have huge pieces of equipment that, have a 30-year life. So they know they have to be replaced. So I have the list, actually. There's 2 high lift pumps that need to be changed. That's $45,000. These numbers are worst case scenario. We might be able to find a grant. The pricing might not be as bad as we think, but it might be as well. All 4 chemical feed systems need to be changed in the next few years. That's $95,000. The SCAD, it's basically the computer that runs everything, is a $15,000 replacement. Swabbing, which we just talked about. Backwash sludge hauling is $5,000 a year. So by 2027, our reserves, where exactly are our reserves right now? There's so many numbers.
Through you, Madam Chair, our reserves at the beginning of January 1st, 2025 are $122,500.
But by 2027, our reserves will be depleted with the large repairs or updates that we need to do. So we don't want to raise water rates. We can only charge water
Fees.
yeah, water fees to the people that have water. It can't be something that comes out of taxation. We can only charge the people that use the water. And we can't make money off of it. But it would be irresponsible to lose money on it. Basically, you would have a water system that can't sustain itself. So we're just trying to be fiscally responsible to be able to afford the repairs that we know are coming. And do them in a reasonable way, so it's not a big shock in a few years when there's no water money and we have huge expenses. Did I explain that well enough? Is everybody?
5%, it's a pretty big increase. How much money are you gonna get from, say, 5% to all water consumers?
So it would put 13,700 back into the reserves. And you would go right now, if there was no percentage of change, right now we pay $85 a month or $255 a quarter. With the 5% change, we would pay $89.07 a month or $267.21 a quarter. So it's a rate increase of $48 a year approximately.
And I just like to point out that our aqua contract and our chemicals are just under 130,000 a year. Not negotiable for them to run. And it goes up by the CPI increase, the cost of living, it goes up, whatever that is every year, so we don't get a say in that.
Councillor Despatie?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. I just want to tell the taxpayers, it's not that we want to increase by 5%, but we're bound by law, by provincial law, that we have to provide the best quality water. So we have no choice. If we want to upgrade our systems, we've got to increase it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Councillor Despatie, I would even clarify, we're not really upgrading our system so much as maintaining the system we have.
Exactly. Yeah.
We do not want to pay more for water ourselves. We don't want to have to raise the rate. But just like going to the grocery store, our costs are going up. Well, and for everything, it's not just our water. Businesses are charging more for the services they were doing a few years ago. And sometimes there isn't another cheaper business to go to. You have to go to the one guy that does water or truck repair or whatever it is. Any other comments about water budget or questions?
I was just wondering, I have to look at those filters. I drink a lot of town water too, other than bottled water. Excuse me, I got a hoarse voice tonight. But like, we pay good money and to have our water, clean water. And by looking at those filters, something not right down that water, I would think. To have that pretty much, he said a year, look how brown it is. There's something not, I don't know. when I drink water, it look like clear, like that bottled water, you think it's clear, but it's not.
Well, it could be the amount of water going through the pipes. I don't know. I'm not a water expert, but you look at the reports like I do. That they do extensive testing
Oh, yes.
on site, and our reports are, generally 100%, right? It's not like there's some that are questionable results. We have great ratings. CEO Ketchup, did you have something to
I
throw
was just
in?
clearing my throat.
Okay, don't clear your throat unless you want. No, I'm just kidding.
I would like to add though, our water's tested 3 times a week at 3 different locations. So if there's something. It's not just tested at the water treatment plant, it's tested here and it's tested at another business. So if there was something. Like maybe. At the plant, it's weird. We would see it. So,
Well, looking at those filters, you can see it too.
Tested on the other side of the town.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know,
and we
might
do,
be
if someone
suggestion.
calls with an abnormal looking water. Aqua will be there within hours to test your tap water, so that could be something we could have them do at your house as well.
There's lots of activity in the bottom of the hill. Maybe something going on.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to look into it further. Who knows? I mean, we have. No, I can see, especially at the end of the line, which you aren't really. That there could be a buildup, but. I don't know how we look into it further. Maybe that's something that we research into. If there aren't any more, are there any more comments or questions? So moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald, be it resolved that the public meeting is now officially closed at 6:46 PM and council meeting is now reconvened. All in favor? Carried. Actually, I just wanted to say about the water, one thing I didn't mention was that we did have very large components replaced with that. Big grant, the green stream grant, it just didn't cover everything. So we can look for more grants, but. We did get one, which was good. Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that the 2025 Nairn waterwork budget be approved with a 5% increase. All in favor? That's carried. And then discussions arriving out in minutes. Okay. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald, be it resolved that the following council minutes be accepted as presented. A, regular council meeting minutes, January 15th, 2025. All in favor? That's carried.
Minutes and reports, just accepting.
Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that minutes and reports 7A to G are noted as received. All in favor? It's carried. And then discussions arriving from previous.
Yeah, we kind of jumped to that one.
So are there any discussions arising from previous minutes? Actually, Belinda or CEO Ketchup, I thought you wanted to speak about the trees briefly.
Yeah, there was a motion passed at the last meeting when we were discussing if we wanted to participate in the Lacloche tree planting program. So I just got an answer back today. We had questions if they were gonna assist us in finding seedlings or if we had to buy our own trees. So the school did get back to us and said that they're encouraging us to find our trees, whatever works for our municipality. They won't be bringing in, like a large quantity of the little saplings for us to purchase from them for this program. So if we do want to move forward, we have to decide, are we gonna buy the trees? Are they gonna be saplings? Do we want to even participate in it at all? There was, another option that they gave us, that if we were doing any ditching programs, we could perhaps transplant the trees from the ditches into other areas. That's a little staff intensive, but, that was an option to participate, so I just wanted to give you guys that update, just because it came in this morning.
So do we need a motion at all for that?
I didn't prepare one, but if you want to, we can.
Are you interested in discussing the tree option right now, or should we direct CAO Ketchiba to research the cost of trees, or?
Well, one of my problems, where are you gonna plant these trees? There's hydro lines all around, there's water pipelines. There aren't enough trees around there now, I would think.
I mean, it could be lilac bushes, where they just want anything green.
Well, we got trees over here in front of the community center. And flower plant beds.
Should we just talk about it next month, put it on the agenda, or
I can.
then? Oh, and I
Madam
want
Chair?
to give a, oh, it's Councilor Day Petit?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I had donated, 5 apple trees, some time ago, and, we couldn't even get those planted, so I don't know what other trees we could get planted.
Non-fruit bearing would be essential. I also wanted to say, you know, the inquiry we made into hazardous waste, whether putting limitations on our roads might be useful in stopping the transportation of uranium byproducts, and that's actually at the lawyers. We don't really know. CAO Ketchiba actually has a telephone meeting with the Minister of Mines. No, actually, no.
Manager of
Yes.
mine rehabilitation, yeah.
He works with the Minister of Mines. That's tomorrow morning, and we did meet with several ministers at Roma a few weeks ago. The NDP met with us. They gave us a very brief time slot and did not seem very engaged with us at all. There was one woman that took extensive notes, but I would not hold my breath for any support from them. The Liberals met with them at all, also. They seem to be really stuck on the word niobium. That niobium had never poisoned anyone, and we tried to reassure them several times that it was not just niobium in the soil they were bringing in, that there was uranium tailings and other heavy metals. But niobium came up many times. And we spoke with the Minister of Mines, the Honorable George Peary, who actually has a farm near our CAO Ketchiba's family. So they discussed it extensively, and he was very charming. He was great. And we asked for our 3 things. He said that he would get us answers to our questions by next week. That was last week, and we haven't received them yet. And also that they would get the mine, how did he word it, fixed up? That the mine would be, yes,
Management area would be fixed.
the existing, and we also asked them to halt the project, and he did not commit to that. But we considered it a win that we got 2 out of 3. We weren't expecting him to cancel the project, and it was a positive meeting, and we are a little disappointed we haven't received responses yet. But hoping that we will get them soon. Is there anything else you would add to that?
I just have fears that with the provincial election, that there may be a delay on those reports that we're asking for. I believe that's what the meeting is.
I don't mind if there's a delay on our responses, if there's a delay on the project as well, right?
That would
Then
be
it
good.
doesn't matter. We'll wait. The election will be over soon enough. So we approved minutes.
So then our water license.
Okay, so this is the water license moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald. Whereas council has received report 2025-7 for information. And whereas the township is required to prepare a detailed financial plan for its municipal drinking water system in compliance with the Ontario Regulation 453/07 under the Safe Drinking Water Act as part of the application for renewal of the drinking water works permit and the municipal drinking water licenses. And whereas the financial plan outlines the long-term financial stability of the township's drinking water system, ensuring the continued safe operation, maintenance, and necessary capital improvements for the Nairn water treatment plant, and be it resolved that council approve the updated Nairn drinking water system financial plan 2025 to 2031 as presented. All in favor? That's carried. And for everyone, this was an extensive report. It probably won't be online, but it did lay out our financial plan for the water treatment and what was needed for the next few years, and
It will be,
it is online
as of tomorrow.
as of tomorrow. So it was a lot of work. And then,
So then council meeting schedule.
okay, is there anybody that would like to discuss anything different about the council meeting schedule that was proposed? Are you fine with it, Counselor Despatie? Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, whereas council has received the CAO's report 2025-8 for information, be it resolved that council approves the 2025 council meeting schedule as attached to this report. All in favor? That's carried.
This one is just missing a first.
Counselor McVeigh, would you like to first?
Sure.
This is about the OPP, seconded by Counselor Despatie. So firsted by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Despatie, whereas council has received the CAO's report entitled Laquash OPP Detachment Board for information, and be it resolved that council agrees to the board's annual budget, and further that council accepts the attached memorandum of agreement for administrative and financial services and member remuneration, travel, and training expenses policy. All in favor? That's carried. I just want to point out this, for example, this OPP board just cost us $5,000 that we didn't previously have to pay. So everyone has to have an OPP board. We have to belong to it. And we have to pay $5,000. So that's, all these things add up. And the community emergency preparedness grant, are you going to speak to that?
I can. So in fall of last year, we found out through our emergency management meeting that there was a new funding proposal out there to improve our emergency management preparedness. And so we did apply for it. So what we had applied for was a mobile backup generator, a mobile quiet power inverter generator, the mobile internet, which is Starlink Roam, 6 two-way radios, 2 chainsaws, and 2 portable heaters. And so we entitled the project Strengthening Community Resilience through Emergency Equipment for Long-Term Power Outages and Communication Outages. And that aligned with emergency management's mandates. So we were approved for funds in the amount of $12,100 to purchase those items for our emergency management operations. So those will be available if we need them. Fire department can use them. it was just some equipment that we didn't have. We do have the generator out here. But it's always good to have a backup for the fire hall, or perhaps if there's an emergency here and we need to move to another location, that we have these items ready to go with us. We're noticing, and I'm sure the fire chief will back me up on this, that when there's accidents on the highway, we're seeing that our cell phone are being disrupted because we just don't have the bandwidth with all the people sitting on the highway, sitting on, watching Netflix or whatever. So we've noticed that and noted that in our emergency management team, that we have lost cell phone communications at times. So that's why it was important that we get the money for the radios and the mobile Starlink that can go anywhere. You can put it on top of a car, you can put it wherever you want. We'll have the internet up and running within 5 to 10 minutes. So if we lose cell, we can communicate through the Starlink. So I'm pretty excited that we have that now in our emergency management package.
Good work, CAO Ketchiba.
So we do need to accept the funding though.
Yes, we can do that. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald, whereas council has received the CAO's report 2025-10 entitled Community Emergency Preparedness Grant Approval for Information, and be it resolved that council agrees to give bylaw number 2025-5 brief readings at the February 10th council meeting to enact the Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement for grant funding. All in favor? It's carried. Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that council receives the Community Parks and Recreation Committee minutes dated February 3rd, 2025 as presented. All in favor? And that's carried.
So this is the draft motion that Counselor Despatie has requested to reconsider motion 2025-1-1.
Does anyone have anything they would like to ask about this motion? The request for Counselor Despatie for reconsideration to put it off to be discussed in May. Does anyone have any questions about this? No? Well, Counselor Despatie, I'm just wondering why you would like to put it off till May?
Well, first of all, so that I can be present. And second, it takes time to get responses. And I'm figuring May should allow me to get the responses that I need.
Responses from whom?
Well, that's for me to know.
So in our procedural bylaw, we need 2/3 of council to agree to even discuss it further for the motion for reconsideration. So 2/3 of 5 is actually 3.3, so it needs to be 4. Yeah.
Correct.
So, why don't we do a recorded vote?
So we need to move it first and second it.
So,
Oh, no, yeah.
so who would like to move this? If I've asked for a recorded vote, I should hand it to you.
Yeah. So we need a mover just to vote on it. Wayne?
Well, I moved it,
Yeah, and I'll put you as. So moved by Wayne Austin, seconded by Guy Despatie. Mayor Maisy is requesting the recorded vote, so we'll start off Trevor or against. This is to add it to the agenda, okay?
Don't we read the motion?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we did on.
No.
My apologies. Okay, I'll read the motion. Whereas council passed resolution 2025-1-1 to accept the Integrity Commissioner's report as presented on January 15th, 2025, and further that council will consider the findings the recommendations included in the report at the February 10th, 2025 meeting. And whereas council has received a request from Councillor Despatie to have a motion to reconsider added to the February 10th, 2025 council agenda to reconsider this decision and to request that council consider the recommendations at the May council meeting to allow him time to prepare and attend the meeting in person. And whereas the township's procedural bylaw, section 1-35-3E requires that a 2/3 majority of council must agree to add the motion for reconsideration to the agenda, and therefore be it resolved that council agrees to reconsider resolution 2025-1-1. So, as I mentioned, Mayor Mazie has requested a recorded vote. Councillor McVeigh for or against? Councillor Austin for or against?
I'm for it.
For. Councillor Despatie for or against?
Well, I'm for it.
Okay, just have to record that. Councillor McDonald for or against?
Yes,
For. And Mayor Mazie
I'm
for or
against.
against, so that is defeated. Okay,
So I
sign
have
that.
to send.
So that means then we move on to consider the report.
I just, for the benefit of those that are here and those that will watch the recording, I just wanted to take a minute as we are discussing the integrity commissioner and clarify the role of the integrity commissioner. All municipalities are required to have an integrity commissioner because of its necessary function. They work independently and are responsible for the code of conduct or any procedures, rules, and policies of the municipality, ensuring that governance is achieved with ethical behavior by members of council and local boards. The integrity commissioner protects the interests of the public by ensuring that council follows essentially laws. It does not reflect well on council to act as though individuals may be above reproach, or that the rules and regulations and laws of the province do not apply. It does not appear that council is being transparent and open in their conduct if they cannot listen to the advice or judgment of our integrity commissioner. It reflects poorly on council. Even with a recorded vote where it becomes obvious who votes for what, it still does reflect poorly on all of council. An officer of our corporation should be shown the same respect that anyone with authority in our municipality warrant. He has a job to do, the job that I've clearly outlined. And frankly, I personally feel we have many more pressing matters in our community to deal with. But that is the issue that's in front of us today. So do we start discussing the different motions?
Yeah, just to make it easier to go through, I've separated some of the different recommendations that the integrity commissioners made. So the first one, since the one recommendation was discussing formal censure for certain counselors, I've just put that on one motion to discuss. And then we'll go through the recommendations after that.
And the integrity commissioner's report is on our website as
Yes.
well, right?
Yes.
So people can read the detailed. So, this is about, well, I guess I should read it and well. Who would, like, Councillor Despatie or Councillor McVeigh, would you like to move it? And I'll second it. So moved by Councillor McVeigh, seconded by Councillor Mazie. This is blank, this resolution, does that?
That's okay. We numbered them after.
Whereas an inquiry was conducted by the Integrity Commissioner in response to a complaint received regarding the November 18th council meeting, and whereas the integrity commissioner's report was presented to council at the January 15th council meeting with findings that Councillor Wayne Austin, Guy Despatie, and Rod McDonald did breach sections of the council code of conduct. And whereas council has considered the findings and recommendations of the integrity commissioner, and therefore be it resolved that council directs that councillors Wayne Austin, Guy Despatie, and Ron McDonald receive a formal censure, and further that the statement will be presented at the March 10th, 2025 council meeting. So I'm gonna ask for a recorded vote, and I'll hand that to you. I guess.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I believe I'm entitled to say a few words.
Sure.
So, first of all, in regards to the allegations against me, intimidating the integrity commissioner. So over the more or less 3 years that I've been counselor, I've sent CAO Ketchabah probably over 40 emails, some to ask advice, some to get clarification on proper procedures. Many of them to advise her from news clippings of different things that were going on in different communities, exceptional tax increases, or for instance, Sudbury had a diagram of where the tax dollars were spent. And I suggested she implement that for our community. She didn't. So for her to pull out one email about the integrity commissioner for Sudbury to be fired and insinuate that I am intimidating the integrity commissioner, I think is laughable. As well, I think for me personally, her divulging my emails to her is a serious breach of trust. Therefore, I am immediately resigning from council. So as soon as I get home, you'll get the computer back, and that's the end of it for me.
Well, that is a lot to digest. Oh, did he just leave the meeting? Okay, so we'll record that he's left the meeting. Would you like to say a few words about? Well, I guess I would like to say a few things as well. I think what we're talking about, that it was an email sent directly after a council meeting that was about the city of Greater Sudbury firing their integrity commissioner. Were there any comments with the email?
Not to my recollection, no.
So that's all it was. So it is hard to, well, it does seem like a threat to me. Do you have any response to his, or anything you would like to say?
The only thing I'd like to say to that is when people send me an email to my Nairn Center email, it becomes a public record. So I have to be, when the integrity commissioner is doing an investigation and ask me a question, those are records that I have to give.
No, it's true. I think we all need to be careful what we are putting on paper, and email is essentially you're putting it in writing. And you're showing what you're really thinking. Any other comments or thoughts?
Yeah, about what I said there, all I was doing talking to the CEO brought us up to come. And I mentioned to her that it was months before that we did something about it, that. And that's what I was charged with, by speaking my mind about another meeting. That it wasn't on the agenda. I don't know other than that there.
I actually, I think, Counselor McDonald, I think the issue the integrity commissioner had was with words that you said in the meeting, in the November meeting. Am I confusing it with something else?
No, I'm not sure, sorry, what you're asking, Councilor
Well, I
McDonald.
like to see the wording, when I had the wording I'm charged with.
It was just that he looked at the recordings of the meeting, that was all.
Yeah, but shouldn't I get a report of that, what I said?
Well, it was public information in the meeting. So, you know, when we say things in the meeting, we're going on record for
Yeah, I
having
understand.
said that. That's why sometimes I look stupid, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Let's put that on the record. Anyways,
All I was doing question the CEO about another meeting that she was talking about, that we discussed something at that meeting, and it was, I would have to go back and look, and see what it was. But I mean, if you can't sit in the council meeting and express what, how you're feeling a little bit, I would have an integrity commission make a report on it. You know, at least he didn't charge me, he just said that he charged me, but according to the other two councilors, that he wanted to take a month of their pay away from him. He didn't take it away from me.
well, there were other compensations, but what did you have to say, Counselor McVeigh?
I thought the issues with, Councilor McDonald were simple as I stated, he didn't want to, he had a conflict of interest. And the next month he changed your mind and didn't have.
That's right, that's what I was trying to think.
So yeah, it had nothing to do with what Councilor Dave Baptiste stated at the meeting towards the integrity commission. I'm confused what you're saying now.
Well, we have the report right here, so this might clarify. Counselor Rod McDonald, breached section 1.2 by reversing a previous conflict declaration during the November 18th, 2024 meeting without providing a clear or reasonable explanation. Because I think you were asked by Counselor McVeigh why you would change
What was my answer?
I don't remember how to look at it.
yeah, there's,
You said you were confused in the meeting before, I think is very rough terms to that, but I'd love to go back and watch. I didn't put the complaint forward, but I remember that. You didn't know what you were stepping.
I didn't know what I declared conflict of interest on, because when the subject came up, I didn't think I was in conflict, and I said at the meeting that I removed my conflict of interest, and then I went on and said something else. But if I can't take that away, well, then I'm charged.
the integrity commissioner goes on to say this inconsistency eroded public trust and created an appearance of procedural disregard. He also violated section 4.1 by participating in votes after reversing his conflict declaration, which appears to have contravened his obligations under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. However, there is no evidence to suggest that Counselor McDonald violated section 15 regarding reprisal or obstruction. So no reprisal, no obstruction. It is the conflict of interest. Is there anything else that you would like to?
No, now I watch what I say now at council meeting, because, you know, that's not right. I've been on council now for 20-some years, and I never been charged before, but because they didn't have an integrity commissioner. But I didn't do no damage. It went on, just a comment that I made, I make a comment.
Well,
We
Councilor
did have one before, we spent $65,000 the last term.
Yes, I
Paying
had
an
two
integrity commissioner.
before, years ago.
It's not new, was there last term, that's why I ran, because I seen that bill. And I said, we can't have this.
I know,
Can't
two,
pay
but
65.
two counselors were charging what you're talking about was
Yeah.
$30,000 for the tank.
Right, 65,000 for two counselors. I'm not blaming, just saying, all I
I don't
see.
know where you got 65,000 from, I saw 30,000. That was back.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was previous term.
Previous time, yeah.
So we had that one motion for the reprisals.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
I've asked,
Yeah.
okay,
So,
I did read it.
okay. So are we ready to do the recorded vote about the formal censor?
We probably need to reread it.
Okay, I'll read it.
Sorry.
So it's moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Mayor Maisy, whereas any inquiry was conducted by the Integrity Commissioner in response to a complaint received regarding November 18th council meeting, and whereas the Integrity Commissioner's report was presented to council at the January 15th, 2025 council meeting with findings that Councillor Wayne Austin, Guy DePatie, and Rod McDonald did breach sections of the council code of conduct. Whereas council has considered the findings and recommendations of the Integrity Commissioner. And therefore be it resolved that council directs that councillors Wayne Austin, Guy DePatie, and Rod McDonald receive a formal censor, and further that the statement will be presented at the March 10th, 2025 council meeting. So Mayor Maisie's requested a recorded vote. Councillor McVeigh, are you for or against the formal censor? Councillor Austin, for or
Can I
against?
get a clarification
Sure.
on what I said at this meeting?
Do we want to go back to the report?
What you said at this meeting, or?
Yeah, the one that we're voting on right now, right?
And I like the same thing, that's what I brought up.
So we've done you, Counselor McDonald, right? Do you feel that's,
Well, I brought the same question up, but I was turned down.
Well, when you agreed, like when we stated, you said, yeah, I said that, yeah, I did it. So I just want to see the thing go away. I've had 5 people calling.
I think you got order,
why is he out of order?
because he didn't ask for permission to speak.
Well, technically, you're right, but Counselor McVeigh, you've got the floor.
I already said it.
Yeah.
It's recorded.
So Counselor McDonald, let's start with you. I thought it was clear that the issue the Integrity Commissioner had was that you changing your conflict and reversing it.
Yes, but, the reason why I didn't realize what it was. When you read the motion, then I realized it, so then I did say at the meeting that I removed this, I mean, I wasn't, at that time, your job was to stop me right there, then maybe. I had time to speak, I spoke on it. And then after
It
that,
was my job to stop you. I
you're
do
the
believe.
chair, you're the chair.
Uh-huh.
And if I was in conflict, I shouldn't have been speaking.
You mean because you changed your conflict? I think you were questioned on it. I was
Yes.
actually shocked. But Counselor McVeigh asked you, and I believe he asked you 2 times to clarify. Just to make, because sometimes you're right, we're in a meeting and there's a lot going on, but you were asked twice. You know. It is recorded. Counselor Austin, what did you want me to go over?
Well, on the January 12th report, it said I continued to disregard the stuff, and as of the Integrity Commissioner's report, I said I would not vote on anything or discuss anything with, as far as fire departments go, so why is this on again?
I think this January report comes from the things that were said at the November meeting.
And that was all settled.
No, the November, I'm gonna, our integrity commissioner is here. Can we ask him to speak on it?
We can if you would like.
I just don't wanna say the wrong thing, but initially,
So, your worship, this is what I would say, is that the report speaks for itself. Council members have had the report for quite a while. They've all had an opportunity to read it. I'm not gonna comment any further on the report or on the recommendations in the report.
It's true, the report is thorough. So do you have it in front of you?
The item number 75. Like says, I received censures and suspension, council voted not to give me that.
That was for the previous issue. So this is another set of issues. So if you back it up to number 69, this is where under the general findings. This is where the integrity commissioner is saying what he has issue with.
It says they refused to acknowledge conflicts of interest, which I wasn't doing any. That was settled.
Well, you spoke out in the November meeting that you disagreed, that you shouldn't have to, you were, I agree with you, after that meeting, you were declaring a conflict of interest.
I give a presentation of mine of how I felt about the report, and that's all I did was say what I thought.
I thought you were very polite, and I think the integrity commissioner also found that you were not guilty of reprisal or obstruction.
I didn't disrespect anybody. I disagreed with his report, which is my right to do that.
He does talk about how your repeated refusal to acknowledge conflict of interest has eroded public trust. And by using your position improperly to influence decisions involving your son, gives the perception of undue influence, whether there was undue influence, we need to even avoid the optics or the appearance that someone might be using their influence for gain.
As I said at the time, I talked to many constituents in the town and none of them had any consideration that I was in conflict.
Well,
That's why I went with that. And since then, there's been nothing. I do not
right,
get
you are,
involved in any of the stuff.
yeah, you have followed the conflict of interest policy then. Well, our constituents in town are not responsible for the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
No, they aren't, but their opinions count.
They do, but if it goes against the law, and which I think you respect because you have followed it since the decision was made. So I think we're relatively all on the same page. And I agree with Councillor McVeigh that I would just like to rip this off like a Band-Aid. Sorry.
Okay, so we ready to go back to the vote? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Austin, for or against the formal censure?
Well, against that, I'm gonna vote to strike myself.
Okay, so against. Councillor McDonald for, okay. And I'm for. So since it's a tie vote, it's defeated. It's a tie vote and a tie is a defeat on a
Thank you.
motion. Okay, so the next one just goes with the next recommendation for Councillor Austin with the recommendation to suspend his remuneration. So we do need a first. Do you want me to do the first?
Sure.
Who would like to first it? Councillor McVeigh. Who would like to second it to discuss?
Does it have to be me if they're voting against?
It's up to them. You?
Sure.
You want me to read it?
Sure, we'll do a recorded vote.
I'm confused here because this was voted on by council previously.
No, this is another set. We've had two integrity commissioner reports.
So the first one, they voted to not censure me. So now you bring it up again?
Well, it's essentially not the same issue.
But it is. It's the exact same issue.
It came up again. It's not the same.
What is different?
It was a second complaint.
Well, it was really what was in our public in our meeting. The meeting was the evidence.
Was voted on at that time that council did not feel I should be censured for the acts that I commit.
Look, in the same meeting, there were also words spoken against the integrity commissioner. There was a conflict of interest that was flip-flopped. There were a few irregular things.
This isn't what that vote is for. It's for what I done in the previous past, and that was voted on.
Our integrity commissioner saw the record of the meeting and we're following his report. And these are his recommendations that we're either voting for or against.
I disagree. I think our procedure is wrong here, that it was already voted on, and it shouldn't be brought up again.
Well,
Madam Mayor, I thought this was from the November meeting,
yes,
so it's something new. It's not from the old, it's not from the
But that's
meeting.
not what that is stating.
what is the motion saying that we're on right now? It is, we've had two different integrity commissioner reports.
It's talking about the recommendations in 75. It's the recommendation that the remuneration be suspended for 30 days and attend mandatory training. So we just need to vote on it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so, oh, sorry, Councilor.
No, we're good.
Did I accidentally cut you off? I'm
No,
sorry.
no, I was just looking for something.
Okay,
No, let's do it.
okay, so Mayor Maisy is requesting recorded vote. So this is to vote on the recommendation to suspend Councillor Austin's remuneration for a period of 1 month. So Councillor McVeigh, are you for or against that?
For it.
Councillor Austin, are you for or against?
Against.
Councillor McDonald, for or
Against.
against? Mayor Maisy, for, okay, so it's a tie vote, so it's defeated. Okay, so this is discussing the second part of that recommendation that Councillor Austin to attend a mandatory training. And I believe he recommended that he would issue a public apology. So that's to vote on that. I can read it and
Sure, let's do a recorded vote for all of these integrity commissioners.
okay, so the motion reads, whereas an inquiry was conducted by the Integrity Commissioner in response to a complaint received regarding the November 18th, 2024 council meeting. Whereas the Integrity Commissioner found that Councillor Austin did contravene sections 1.2, 4.1, and 15 of the Council Code of Conduct. And therefore be it resolved that Councillor directs Councillor Austin to attend mandatory training on the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act and ethical governance, and further that he's directed to issue a public apology to the community for his actions. So I need a mover for this. Okay. Councillor McVeigh, seconder, Mayor Maisy. And Mayor Maisy has requested the recorded vote. So Councillor McVeigh for or against?
For.
Councillor Austin for or against? Councillor McDonald for or against? Mayor Maisy for. So once again, that is a tie, so it is defeated. Okay, so then, I guess we don't need to vote on Councillor Depaty's recommendations. Do you want to speak to that or?
I mean, we could deal with, I mean, he hasn't, I guess he's verbally resigned, but has he officially resigned until he submits something in writing or?
I believe his verbal would be, Chris, did you have a comment?
Not in my opinion as a clerk, not an integrity commissioner. The act says at the moment which the clerk is receives resignation, it's effective. So in fact, whether he did it right or not, doesn't matter, he did it at a council meeting. Just
Yeah.
as good as it's written.
So I don't know if the rest of council agrees, but I think we can pass on doing, any of the motions regarding Counselor Despatie.
So I think we should move on.
He resigned, sorry, through your, but he resigned. He's not gonna come back. He's not coming back, I guarantee on his morals, he's not coming back.
No, as the clerk, as, our integrity commissioner just, pointed out in a different, as a clerk as well, I would take that as a formal resignation. It was public.
I would take it as a moment of frustration and ask him tomorrow if he's officially resigning.
No, I don't know, you're in a public meeting and it's recorded. I mean, that's,
Everybody's opinion.
so Counselor McDonald, do you want to press forward with Counselor Despatie's things?
I agree with Mr. Councillor Austin.
Okay, let's
Okay.
do them.
Okay, so, this is to discuss the integrity commissioner's recommendations to suspend counselors' Despatie's remuneration. So, someone want to move it?
Yeah, I think that's the intro.
You would like to second it? So it reads, whereas an inquiry was conducted by the integrity commissioner in response to a complaint received at the November 18th, 2024 council meeting, and whereas the integrity commissioner found that Councillor Despatie did contravene sections 1.2, 14 and 15 of the council code of conduct, whereas council has considered the findings and recommendations of the integrity commissioner, and therefore be it resolved that council suspends Councillor Despatie's remuneration for a period of 1 month. Are you requesting a
Yeah,
recorded
recorded
vote?
vote.
Counselor McVeigh, for or against? For. Counselor Austin, for or against? Counselor McDonald, for or against? And for. For. So that is a tie vote, so it is defeated. Okay, so the next recommendation for Counselor Despatie is to complete workplace training, harassment, respectful communication training, and that he would issue a public apology to the integrity commissioner for his reprisal-like actions. So I need a mover for that.
And another recorded vote.
So Counselor McVeigh, are you for or against? Counselor Austin, for or against?
Again,
Counselor McDonald, for or against?
Again,
Then four. So that is a tie vote, so that is defeated. That's for the recommendations for Counselor McDonald.
So this is Counselor McDonald, so I'll say it's moved by me and seconded by Counselor McVeigh. But if I'm gonna call a recorded vote. Right?
Yep. Okay, so I'll read it. Whereas an inquiry was conducted by the integrity commissioner in response to a complaint received regarding the November 18th, 2024 council meeting. As whereas the integrity commissioner found that Councillor Rod McDonald did contravene the sections 1.2 and 4 of the council code of conduct. Whereas council has considered the findings and recommendations of the integrity commissioner, and therefore be it resolved, the council directs Councillor McDonald to complete governance and ethics training, and further that he provide a public explanation for his actions to ensure transparency and rebuild public trust. So, Mayor Maisie's requested a recorded vote. Counselor McVeigh, are you for or against?
For it.
Counselor Austin, for or
Against.
against? Counselor McDonald, for or
Against.
against? And I'm for, you're for, so that is a tie vote, that is considered defeated. Okay, so that is all with the.
That is
integrity
the end of
commissioner.
the integrity commissioner issues. Moved, this is about correspondence, moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald. Be it resolved that council notes correspondences A to B as received. A, Fredericksville Bay Aqua, questions about expanding water sampling program in Nairn Center. Joseph Burke, Town of Espanola, RE, feedback needed regarding economic development officer funding application. All in favor? That's carried.
So I don't have a motion, for the water sampling. Does council want me to kind of give them an update about?
Sure, that would be great. Yeah.
So there was a motion, passed at the last meeting, to discuss with Aqua about expanding our water sampling. It was in regards to the potential of bringing in the uranium tailings at Agnew Lake, and we discussed the consultant's reports about it. So I did reach out to Aqua. And I had given, council, the sampling that we do twice a year with the heavy metals. I'd given you like an example of what that would look like. So I reached out to see how much those cost. They're about $1,000 a test. We do those twice a year, in January and in July. So I have reached out to him. He said that we can.
Can I just pause you?
Yeah.
Did they suggest changing January and July, or we should stay with January?
We didn't get that far yet.
Okay.
I was just kind of reaching out about costs, so, he did say we could do them more, but he did give a recommendation. Instead of doing more of the heavy metal, and mineral testing, he, recommended radionuclide testing, which actually, tests if there's radioactive, like radon 226 in the water, things that would be a byproduct of uranium. So he mentioned that he could do that. He didn't have a cost for that, so I have to get back to you guys with that cost. I did ask if we are allowed to do sampling of the lake water at Agnew Lake or at different locations like Ministik Creek or John Creek, wherever we wanted to go in. He said that we could collect the water samples ourselves and bring them into the labs. He doesn't know the cost of that. He has to get back to me about that. So I just wanted you to know that I am following up on that with them. So if council is good with that, I can just bring the cost back to you when it gets back to me.
I don't think we need a motion for that.
Okay.
So yeah, just continue to get more
Okay.
answers and ask about January and July, because I'm suspicious of that.
Okay.
And next is our economic development officer funding application. So it was Louisa that spoke with us tonight. She is the economic development officer. And under LaCloche, we go in as a group and we have funding for her, I believe, for 3 years. So this year, we pay 1,000. This year, next year is 1,100, 1,250, and then 1,500. In the 4th year. So are you okay with that fee schedule or?
I'm okay with it, from what I understand, from speaking to, CEO Ketchabah, she's helped, with a couple funding grants, which is worth $1,000 or $1,100. The last one was over $40,000, she got us for free. I'd spend $1,100 to get 40,000 back. Or 1,000, I think it's only 1,000 this year, right?
Yeah, it's 1,000 this year, 1,100 next year. What do you think, Counselor McDonald?
Yeah, explain that to me. I just don't quite get, I agree with him, I think, but. You mean, I'm just gonna agree with, I go and say it.
Well, I'm just gonna clarify, the fee goes up every year a little bit. So this year we pay 1,000, next year we pay 1,100, then 1,250, like 1,250, and then 1,500. So it just increases every year a little bit.
What happens is, I think we split that with the other municipalities to the Lost area. We split her fees, so we don't pay her wages. It's mainly paid, I think, by Espanola. They pay a huge percentage of.
Well, in the grant.
And then, the grant was mainly given to them for that, and we have to pay a portion of that. Our portion for her to have her as an economic development officer. 1,000 this year, 1,150 next year, 1,250, 1,500 a year forward, which. Just from asking, because I didn't know either. I reached out and asked, and she's helped CEO catch a ball with some funding grants, where we've ended up with some good money. That's why I believe it, just because it's. She's made us money. She hasn't cost us money.
Okay.
Counselor Austin? Yep. Okay. Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, whereas council has received correspondence from Joseph Burke requesting feedback for the Economic Development Officer funding application, and be it resolved that council agrees to the outlined budget amounts for 2026 to 28 if the funding application is successful. So they're applying for the funding. All in favor? That's carried. First by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald, be it resolved that being a bylaw of the corporation of the Township of Nairn and Hyman to enter into an agreement with His Majesty the King in right of Ontario as represented by the President of the Treasury Board, the province, and the corporation of the Township of Nairn and Hyman. The recipient to be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2025-5. All in favor? That's carried.
Is there a question there?
Sure.
The king is our representative. And for years here, we had a picture of the queen. Where's the picture of the king or the picture of the queen? They've disappeared.
CEO Ketchabah.
Respectfully, the picture of the queen's in the council room, but yes, I do need to get an updated picture of the king. You're correct. I'll be working on that.
Thank you.
So this is about regulating the supply of water and the price, moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin. Be it resolved that being a bylaw to regulate the supply of water and the price thereof from the municipal waterworks be read a first, second, and third time. And finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2025-6. All in favor? It's carried. This is about the rate of interest on tax arrears. Does anyone have any questions? We do this every year. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald, be it resolved that being a bylaw to charge a rate of interest on tax arrears be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. In open council, and its number shall be 2025-7. All in favor? Carried. This is an interim tax levy.
That's that every year too.
Yeah, so moved by, does anyone have any questions about this? Is the 15%? Maybe you could actually explain it. I know every year you explain it. to me.
It's a bylaw that we pass every year. It just is to legalize the interim taxation that goes out in March, which is 50% of what every roll was assessed at the year before. So that's how our interim gets done, because our budgets aren't passed by then, so.
Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that being a bylaw to provide an interim tax levy to provide for the payment of taxes and to provide for penalty and interest of 15% per annum be read a first, second, and third time. And finally passed in open council, its number shall be 2025-8. All in favor? It's carried. Yeah, so we have question period, so I think Mr. McGregor is signed up, maybe.
I didn't sign up.
You didn't sign?
I'm supposed to sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just don't mind.
I'll try to make it short, but it's about the roads. Okay, good evening. As you know, I have spoken to most of you in the past, with the exception of Mr. Despati, about the winter road maintenance issue on some of our streets. I've emailed council as well as the CEO various times for 4 years now. Nothing seems to be getting better. I understand I may be the only one voicing concerns, but I believe residents are busy and may not have the time or energy to bring issues forward, as it is a bit of a process that often leads to nowhere. Simple calls to the office do not get addressed and must therefore be submitted in writing or email. I live on Taylor Street South, which is a dead-end street. It is one of the more populated dead-end streets with 9 houses. This street alone gets very little road maintenance in the winter. There are also 3 other dead-end streets on the south side of Highway 17, all of which do not receive the same level of maintenance as the majority of streets within town. Just this last week alone, there were 3 snowfalls, so it snowed on the weekend. I believe it was Monday, Derek plowed.
Actually, I'm just gonna stop you there. Let's not refer to our,
I'm sorry.
or even, let's not even try to just refer to, like, if you say town superintendent, we know who you're referring to, so let's
I'm
just.
gonna, I think the rest of them, I didn't put it in.
Or
here.
we could just say it didn't get, or, you know, it didn't
Yeah,
get
I'll let
plowed
it plow.
till, yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Just this final, there was three snowfalls, not including the last one this weekend. First snowfall, all streets were plowed as they should be. The second snowfall, Smith Street South was plowed. And Edward Street were fully plowed. Smith Street was partly sanded, while Taylor Street and Spencer Lane South from McCharles were not plowed. Taylor Street did, however, get sanded on an unplowed road, which means the plow went down the road and didn't plow the snow. Fill banks were also left at the end of the unplowed streets, creating difficulty when entering other roadways. I understand this second snowfall did not meet the minimum threshold for plowing according to bylaw. However, the majority of streets in town were plowed. Bylaw also states roads are to be left in packed state, sanding to be done when necessary. There was no ice, the roads were not slippery. The next snowfall, I believe, was Thursday afternoon and evening. And plowing occurred on Friday with the exception of 3 streets. Edward Street and McCharles were the only streets plowed. Taylor, Smith, and Spencer were not. The snowfall accumulatively, previous one now met threshold for plowing those streets. Why were they not completed? Call was made to the office and I spoke with the CAO. Questioning again, how come these streets are not being plowed? Excuses were made and it was not a pleasant conversation. Sorry. Bylaw is not being adhered to. Now, over the weekend, we've had more snow exacerbating already poor condition of these streets with another 3 to 4 inches on top. Sometimes I understand there may not be enough time in a day or something else comes up that secondary streets are not priority. I think to myself, maybe they'll get plowed tomorrow. Well, that doesn't happen. The situation I described earlier seems to be common practice. This case was only on the one side of 17. Later that night, went for a ride around town. There was a lot of streets not plowed. Taylor Street North wasn't, Stanley Street wasn't, Challenge Street wasn't, Ferry Street were just a few that were not. I then decided to go down Nagy Road. That was plowed. So I continued down the highway, Mannon Road, and I took the back road to Nairn. All the Sudbury District roads were plowed in that area. The streets involved in Township were also owned. There is safety issues with not plowing and clearing the snow fully. We shouldn't have to walk in it. You shouldn't have to walk in the middle of the road. I have kids. Teach them walk on the side of the road. You shouldn't have to walk in this much snow, their boots are only that high. I don't think it's fair, walking our pets. I have a little dog, walking on the side of the road, snow's up to her belly. I don't know, not that fair. Finding it hard to believe that after 4 years of bringing this issue up, that nothing is getting changed. I'm not asking for preferential treatment. And I'm advocating for everyone who lives on a street that doesn't get the same love as other streets. I also find it strange that a truck with the sole purpose of plowing will be driven down some streets, passing by all the snow and not cleaning up the roads. I would equate that to sweeping and not picking up the garbage. Total nonsense. Township owns a plow truck too, actually. Township also employs a plow operator and other part-time employee to operate the other truck. There's no excuse for all the streets not to get plowed equally. Why not get the full potential use out of them? Clear all the snow required. Hypothetically, if the winter road maintenance was contracted out similar to garbage collection, and it snows, the streets get plowed, but say a couple little streets do not. Customer would call, say, how come my street was skipped? You would say, or would you say, oh, was there not enough snow to meet the requirements, or we feel that it was completed to standards, or we don't have the budget for it, or would you say, oh, I'm not sure, I'll call a contractor and find out why it didn't get done. Contractor would likely say, I'm very sorry, we will send somebody out to get that done for you as soon as the driver or truck is available. You're paying for a service and you expect a contractor to complete their job. In this case, you are the contractor. Also, with respect to Sand Bay Road being done before some town streets, what came first, the Township of Nairn or Township of Nairn and Hyman? It doesn't make sense to have to backtrack to do all the little side streets after the main streets and Sand Bay Road have been completed. Perhaps the small plow truck could do some of the smaller side streets while the big one goes to Sand Bay, just a suggestion. On positive notes, when the roads are done, they're done well. Like, I'm not bashing anybody here. In conclusion, as well as everybody else in the town, we are taxpayers. I will be elected for to the community to represent. All six receive payment from the municipality funded by taxpayers. Road maintenance is part of the service that you provide. Not partially provided. Enough excuses. I'm not asking for extra services, but simply the services I pay for. I live in town, not in the boonies. Thank you.
Well, thanks for your comments. There was a lot there. Did you comment that we are paid to do a job? Is that what you were saying, us as council?
You get money, correct?
Yes, a small amount of money. I mean.
I'm not saying you wait, but you are here to represent.
I think every single one of us sitting here takes that responsibility seriously because it is not a very fun job. And
I realize it.
no, yeah, I do appreciate your comments. I really like that you said when the plowing is done, you like the job that is done. So
It is a good job.
that's a win. I want to directly address, the issue of Sand Bay Road that, I think in our bylaw, it states specifically the bus route roads that need to be done. Is it?
Well,
Through you, Madam Chair, you're right, there is a route that's given. Sand Bay isn't a bus route. The bus just goes in and then comes back around. However, there are times when sometimes the weather hits there and it doesn't hit here exactly the same way, and sometimes vice versa. So if we get a call that Sand Bay Road is in bad shape, he's gonna do that one near the beginning of his day. Not always, because, you know, he does follow the route that's laid out in the bylaw, but he does have the discretion to do some roads that are maybe a safety concern ahead of others.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Actually, well, I can't refer directly, but I know the comments have been made that we're well aware that the residents in Sand Bay are trying to get to work. Now we have two families, that actually have children getting the bus at the highway. So even though the bus doesn't go up to Sand Bay, there are people trying to get out. And actually, you know, for emergency vehicles as well, we need to have access to Sand Bay. So I actually disagree that Nairn was here first. We need to take care of Nairn.
How can you disagree? It was.
Because I feel, I can't, I think we're all, I think we're all one community and we have to do what's best. And I think, you know, previous council has prescribed the roads that need to be done in town. And I've spoken to those bus drivers that have driven those roads and they've been pretty appreciative of the job that's been done. And I do think we need to be aware that Sand Bay is trying to go to work and get where they need to go, and that's not an easy road to drive. Does anyone else have any comments for Mr. McGregor or anything you would like to say?
I agree at some points, we have to improve on our service. I know that we're getting complaints and I get complaints from people. The town is meticulously made up of dead end streets and it's hard to do. But we have to pay more attention to it and maybe. I don't know what the solution is, if it's a little earlier in the morning, then we have to get someone out. I don't like to have it at 4. You can't predict when the snowstorms are. Or when they end, you don't want to plow them before the snowstorm's over, but. It's very difficult to.
Yeah, and I understand if it's snowing, well.
Hang on, Mr. McGregor, we're gonna have council all take turns speak and then we'll come back to you, Councillor McDonald.
Sorry, can I interject? I just wanted to, I did receive a call from Mr. McGregor on Friday. I did take his complaint seriously and he's right. We didn't have a pleasant conversation. It was a little heated. And it's not the first time we've heard this complaint, as you all know, but I did take his complaint seriously. I went at 5 o'clock that night to look at his road to see what he was talking about. So I just wanted council to see. I took a picture. That's his street. And then that's looking back to McCarl's. You can see that the road is definitely packed. It's passable. It meets our standards of a taken care of road. I do certainly appreciate when he does mention that sometimes the shoulders do get a little bit built up and thick. And that's a complaint that we have discussed with Public Works to take care of that better. But our policy is to make the roads safe. And that's our #1 priority. I understand the shoulders are safe for walking. You want them safe, and that's something we're gonna work on. But the road is essentially our #1 priority, the roadway.
Councillor Austin, you look like you have something to say.
So this road was sanded but not plowed.
According to him, yeah, it
Well,
was.
according, I see footprints off to the side here where you can tell it hasn't been plowed.
But there was literally a half an inch of snow on the
Well, I don't
shoulder.
know how much, I can't tell with the picture how much snow.
That was after 2 snowfalls.
Yeah.
Councillor.
Yes, McDonald Street, I saw a few times too, where he sanded, but didn't plow.
You know, there, oh, Council,
After speaking with Mr. McGregor, I reached out to the town of Espanola and spoke to their new public works superintendent and asked him, I mean, he's an absolute genius with all of this stuff, because he's born and raised on it. And he said that from what he's been told as a municipal, they look into the 2 and 3 day forecast, and if it's gonna get mild, Espanola does the same thing. They drop snow, sand on top of it. And Sudbury does the same thing because they know it's gonna get mild. They don't plow and drop sand. They'll just go and drop sand because they know it's gonna get mild. They know that 1 or 2 inch skip is gonna be gone. If it's flat, it's gonna be gone as soon as it gets mild. So they put the sand down on top of it. Just as something I reached out after our conversation, because I tried to not ask our superintendent. I went to somebody that was impartial, and that's what I was told. Just so we all know, if that's standard for Sudbury and Espanola, and in his prior job, being Blind River and Wetwood, was under his private company to take care of it. And I don't, that's all I know. I asked somebody smarter than me.
As a driver that drives on it, once that sand softens up to snow, it becomes a lot more slippery than it is when it is hard packed.
And all I did was I reached out to people that
You drive, you must know.
I put hundreds of thousands of kilometers, I put 80,000 a year. So I put a lot of miles on it.
But would you agree that when there's slush on top of it, it's slipperier?
Yeah, but if that's what every municipality is doing, I don't know how we do it. We can do it better. I think Councillor Austin said we can try and do it better. But at some points, doesn't matter what municipality you go to, from what I understand, you're gonna see that same thing if you're there.
And I don't see the shoulders full of snow.
These pictures do not look, I'm not arguing with you, like, no.
I tried taking pictures, I took several pictures and it does not show.
Like I can see not your footprints, as I say, I can see your
It
footprints,
might be like.
not your footprints, but it doesn't look like there's more than 2 inches of snow there. Like even my fat dog would drag its belly.
No, but that was after, that would have met the 3 inch threshold.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm just looking at what was stated, you know what I mean, it's.
actually, Mr. McGregor, I think, I have a bigger issue of the state of your road in the summer when it's pretty rough when I drive on
The
it.
snow makes it better.
Well, I can dodge the holes in the summer.
Yeah, I think it's,
And then he eventually does fill them.
well,
They do get filled.
I think it's, I'm not going to promise that it's next on our list. Roads are expensive, but I think it's near the top. But,
The other thing I think, through you, Madam Mayor, is, since we have the new town employee, I think it's got better. I think the parking lots and stuff that I see them running around the truck doing stuff, so it must free up the other employee's time a little bit, because I do see them. The fire hall parking lot is excellent, as far as I'm concerned. I was here on Sunday for work for here, and, the parking lot was all nicely plowed, for the rental and around by where the kids are over there at the, rink. So. We can only look forward and onward and upward. I think this helps the superintendent with having the new employee that's actually able to drive the plow truck and run it. From what I've seen anyways, and I've heard from President of Sandbay that it was done too, which was awesome.
so, I know we're excited that we have someone that's come in and spoken to us, but generally speaking, it's only supposed to be 3 minutes, so. And I want to remind council as well, we generally hear it. And if we want to, if someone wants to bring a motion forward for our next meeting to discuss different things we could do, or even our public works, meaning those are quarterly, so that maybe doesn't help so much in the winter. But bring a motion forward in the next meeting. Just so we don't want to get in the habit of someone coming to us with an issue and we respond immediately. We need time to make sure what we're saying is what we're going to do. I know it seems counterproductive. Things take time in town
Yeah,
politics.
and I'm not looking for a response. I do appreciate the fact that I can converse with somebody. And get different opinions, like the road standing on top of them.
Cause I didn't know, so I reached out to somebody.
And in a way, it makes sense, but it does make it slipperier.
That's what everybody's doing, so somebody smarter than them has probably told them to do it too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming and I'm sure it's something that we'll continue to discuss and see what else we can do moving forward. It's, you know, it actually hasn't been a snowy year, really. But thanks for coming to speak to us.
Thank you.
So, moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McDonald, be it resolved that being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the township of Nairn and Hyman be read first, second, and third time, and finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2025-9. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that the meeting of February 10th, 2025 do now adjourn at 8:10 PM, not bad. To meet again on the 10th day of March 2025 or at the call of the mayor, all in favor. It's carried.